ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Gita and Bhagavatam from Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith, Govardhan Eco Village. He holds a master degree in electronics engineering from IISc Bangalore, and also he teaches Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav courses in Bhaktivedanta Academy of Culture and Education. He teaches Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the cosmology session from 5th canto. Prabhuji presented Bhagavatam cosmology, this topic, in numerous ISKCON centers like USA, Atlanta, Seattle, Columbus, and Flemington. His deep interest in cosmology studies has led him to elaborate on the design and structure of the universe. And he also developed an online course on the systematic study of cosmology, and he also presented the summary online of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam as 12 progressive steps of journey of a sadhaka in his book titled Bhagavatam as Seeker's Journey. So we are very fortunate to have Prabhuji's association and learn and hear from Bhagavatam. Let us welcome His Grace Pavaneshwar Prabhu to our Shri Radha Madan Mohan temple by once reciting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Outside on the book table, that works of Prabhuji are presented actually. After the Bhagavatam class, devotees can go through the books, and who are interested, they can take also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the kind introduction. So, today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 17, text number 14. Please recite after me. Pravepamana dharani nishamyodayudam chatam gausati apadravadbhita mrugiva mrugayudruta pravepamana dharani nishamyodayudam chatam gausati apadravadbhita mrugiva mrugayudruta. Pravepamana dharani nishamyodayudam chatam gausati apadravadbhita mrugayudruta. Pravepamana dharani nishamyodayudam chatam gausati apadravadbhita mrugiva mrugayudruta. Pravepamana dharani nishamyodayudam chatam गौसती अपाद्रवद्भीता मृगीवा मृगयूधृता. Any mat? प्रवेपमानाधरणे निशाम्योदायुधं च तम् गौसती अपाद्रवद्भीता मृगीवा मृगयूधृता. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. When the earth saw that King Prithu was taking his bow and arrow to kill her, she became very much afraid and began to tremble. She then began to flee, exactly like a deer which runs very swiftly when followed by a hunter. Being afraid of King Prithu, she took the shape of a cow and began to run. Purport. Just as a mother produces various children, both male and female, the womb of Mother Earth produces all kinds of living entities in various shapes. Thus, it is possible for Mother Earth to take on innumerable shapes. At this time, in order to avoid the wrath of King Prithu, she took the shape of a cow. Since a cow is never to be killed, Mother Earth thought it wise to take the shape of a cow in order to avoid King Prithu's arrows. King Prithu, however, could understand this fact, and therefore he did not stop chasing the cow-shaped earth. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha. Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamsha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Nabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the temple authorities. Though I am not qualified, but it is under their instruction I am sitting here to render some small service in a significant way. Over many years, I used to visit Hyderabad temple while traveling to Bangalore or Bombay. This is first time I am getting opportunity to serve here. I heard many lectures sitting here, devotees speak, especially Sunday Fish lectures many times. So today we will discuss from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 4 little bit, and specifically we will discuss from Canto 1. I will let you know the reason behind that. So here this Bhagavatam verse, of course, says that Parvepamana dharani nishamyodayudam chayam gausati apadravad bhita mrugiva mrugayu durta. where it says that when Prithu Maharaj took up the weapon, bow and arrow, Mother Earth, being afraid of him, taking the shape of mother cow, fled away. So the reason behind we will just briefly discuss. So couple of chapters back, understanding the need that there should be a king who will take care of the people in a religious way. The great sages, by churning the hands of King Vena, they produced Prithu and Archi, who are the expansions of Lord Vishnu and Mother Lakshmi. So then Lord Brahma and all other devatas arriving there performed the coronation ceremony of King Prithu. In that ceremony, Suta, Vandi, Magadha, they recited all the wonderful qualities and activities of Prithu Maharaj. Among the various activities, they also mentioned that Prithu Maharaj will chase after Mother Earth, who took the shape of a cow, and then he will level the surface of the earth. Then he will perform 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices, during which Indra steals away the horse. Later on, hearing from the four Kumaras about the transcendental subject matter, he will attain perfection. These are the various things that are mentioned in advance by the Suta, Mandi, Vagada. So, having heard all this description from the mouth of Maitreya Rishi, Vidura then asked a couple of questions in order to get into the details. Why did King Prithu chased after Mother Earth in the form of a cow? How did he level the earth? Why did Indra stole the horse? What did he heard from the Sanat Kumara? And what was the destination obtained by King Prithu? So, these were the couple of questions Vidura asked unto Maitreya. In response to those questions, now Maitreya is speaking from verse number 9 onwards. So, first he talks about the first incident. Why King Prithu chased after Mother Earth, who took the form of a cow. So, the reason is, as soon as he became the king, the day after, the citizens of the entire kingdom approached King Prithu. The situation is like this. Praja niranne kshitiprushta etya kshut kshama deha patim abhyavochan. Kshut kshama deha. There was no food grains. There was no food at all for the last many days, weeks, months, years. The people became very thin, very lean due to lack of sufficient amount of food. The reason is Mother Earth is not producing any more food grains. Then, approaching the king, they are saying that you are our Lord and Master. Please provide us the suitable means of livelihood. But first of all, provide us sufficient amount of food. Due to lack of food, we are about to die. You being our king, being our master, it is your responsibility to protect us by all means. Otherwise, you will be responsible for our death. That's how the citizens presented their pitiable condition to the king. Having heard their pitiable condition, king took some time to understand what was the reason why Mother Earth is not producing the food grains. Dirgham dadyau kurushreshta nimittam so anvapadyata. Jai Sri Radha Madan Mohan ki, Jai Sri Gaurnitaya ki, Jai Jagannath Baldev Subramanya ki. So, for sufficient amount of time, he went into deep meditation in order to understand the reason why Mother Earth is not producing any amount of food grains. Then what he understood is, before him, the king was Vena. And it is the responsibility of the king to perform yajna on behalf of all the citizens for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for the nourishment of all the devatas, including Mother Earth. But when sages requested King Vena to perform yajnas, King Vena said that all you sages are performing yajnas, offering oblations in the name of Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, Vishnu and all. Shastra says all these devatas reside in the body of the king. The king himself is the supreme authority. The king himself is the supreme lord. All of you should perform yajna for the satisfaction of the king, that is me. All of you should not perform any yajna for the satisfaction of Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu and all the way up to Lord Vishnu. As a result of that, there was no performance of yajna. Because the sages do not want to perform yajna for the satisfaction of the king. At the same time, they cannot perform for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. King will not allow. There was no performance of yajna. When there was no performance of yajna, the earth stopped producing food grains. The one and only purpose with which the mother earth produces all the variety of food grains is to use all the variety of food grains in the process of yajna or in the service of Supreme Lord. That is the service of mother earth. If that is not fulfilled, why would mother earth produce grains? So mother earth stopped producing all the food grains and things are still continuing. And she herself is not receiving any oblations in the yajna. She herself became thin and all the devatas are also malnourished. And the entire atmosphere became very much pitiable. And people are also not sufficiently provided with necessary food items. And then, understanding all these things, the king analyzed, it is actually the fault of the previous king, but the people are ready to perform whatever necessary. People are not at fault, but Mother Earth by her decision causing the starvation of the people in general. This is not at all proper. Then he took up his bow and arrow in order to punish sufficiently Mother Earth. Understanding the intention of the king, Mother Earth became afraid. In this purport, Srila Prabhupada says that Mother Earth takes any form that required. We see that all the different variety of plants come out of the Mother Earth only. Eating the food grains from those plants, eating the grasses from those plants and grasses, all the other living entities are sustained. Our farm is also one way nourished by the Mother Earth only. So this farm is also produced by Mother Earth. Every farm is produced by Mother Earth in that sense. And now, in order to pacify the king, she took the form of cow. Because no one can kill cow. So when she took that form, king understood, she is playing tricks with me. I will not let loose. She is chased after Mother Earth, who is in the form of a cow. And what happened later on will be presented in the later part of the chapter in the 4th canto. In the future classes, you will get to discuss all those things. So now, let us discuss one more pastime in which Mother Earth took the form of a cow from Canto 1. So, that pastime culminates in the appearance of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the glorious position of Srimad Bhagavatam? Why Bhagavatam excels among all the variety of Puranas, and how did that Bhagavatam manifested, especially for the benefit of all of us who are going to be born in the Kali Yuga. So with that background, let us discuss something from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. So some connection to Mahabharata. After Pandavas had completed 12 years of Vanavas, 1 year of Ajnatavas, they requested Lord Krishna to go as a peace messenger to Hastinapur. Duryodhana, instead of listening to Krishna, he wanted to arrest Krishna, put him in prison, so that Pandavas will be demotivated and they will be destroyed without war. Something like that he thought. So, Vidura could not tolerate the insult that was shown to Lord Krishna, which Duryodhana tried to arrest Krishna, which he could not, he failed. So, war is inevitable now. Lord Krishna departed for Kurukshetra from Hastinapur. Then in the night, Vidura was invited by Dhritarashtra in order to understand how to reconcile the matter. Vidura told, you arrest this nasty personified, this sin personified, this aparad personified Duryodhana and kill him. At least your Kuru dynasty will be left with 99 other sons of yours. If you allow him, your entire Kuru dynasty will be uprooted completely. Duryodhana could not take it. He immediately chastised Vidura, saying that you are eating our food and working for our enemy. Get away from our home. Vidura left from the palace of Hastinapur. Then he decided to go on pilgrimage, but did not want to go to Dwarka, where Krishna was there. He thought that he was associating with sinful people till now. He wanted to purify himself. Then eventually can go to Dwaraka and take shelter of Lord Krishna. So while on his pilgrimage, 35 years passed, during which Yudhishthira Maharaj was ruling. One day, he came to Prabhas, where he came to know that just yesterday, one day before, there was a huge battle among the Yadavas, and they killed each other. And eventually, Balramji left. Lord Krishna also left from the surface of earth. So Vidura felt very much dissatisfied that he could not have darshan of Lord Krishna once again. He saw Lord Krishna during Shanduta episode. So he wanted to have darshan of all the pastime places of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. He goes to Vrindavan. There he meets Uddhava, who was on his way to Badrikashram. Lord Krishna gave a message to Uddhava, saying that while I was living, I traveled to all the different places, but I could not go to Badrikashram. The sages of Badrikashram are eagerly waiting to meet me. Since I cannot go, I request you to go. Saying that, Lord Krishna spoke the entire Uddhava Gita, which comes in the 11th canto, to Uddhava and requested him to go to Badrikashram. Having said that, Lord Krishna, taking all the Yadavas, went to Prabhas, where Lord Krishna requested all the Yadavas to worship the Devatas and Pitrus and offer charity to the Brahmanas, etc. etc. And by the way, Lord Krishna also orchestrated the disappearance of the Yadavas by causing a conflict among themselves, a fight among themselves. They disappeared. Balramji disappeared. Then Krishna sat underneath a banyan tree in Prabhas. So Uddhava, understanding that Lord Krishna is about to depart, in order to have a final darshan, also came to Prabhas on his way to Badrikashram. That time Maitreya Muni also came there. Both Uddhava and Maitreya had final interaction with Lord Krishna. Then they went on towards Badrikashram. Then all the devatas headed by Brahma, Shiva, all arrived there. They requested Lord Krishna, since the time you have appeared here, 125 years already passed, if you desire so, you can wind up your pastimes. By their request, Lord Krishna departs during the midnight of Amavasya. The next moment after the departure of Lord Krishna, Kali Yuga began. That is Chaitra Shukla Pratipad, which we celebrate as Ugadi, which was originally called as Yuga Adi, the beginning of Kali Yuga, which we call today in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh as Ugadi. So the previous night, Lord Krishna departed. The next morning, Kali Yuga began. So then, on his way to Badrikashram, Uddhava came to Vrindavan, where he met Vidura. Vidura requested, Vidura could not accept that Lord Krishna departed. He asked, how are the Yadavas? How is Krishna? Then Uddhava says, what Krishna? Krishna already departed. What is the well-being of Yadavas? They are already in. There is no more Yadavas. Because Lord Krishna also sent a message to Dwaraka, saying that I am departing through Daruka, the charioteer of Lord Krishna. As soon as Daruka informed Vasudeva, Devaki and all other elderly members of the Yadu family, just by hearing that news, they fell unconscious. They fell dead. That is the situation of the Yadavas. No one left in one sense, except few notables such as Vajranab, great grandson of Lord Krishna, and few others. So, Vidura heard all these things from Uddhava, then requested him to speak more. Then Uddhava suggested him to meet Maitreya. Maitreya will give you more information. So Uddhava goes to Badrikashram and Vidura goes to Haridwar, where he hears from Maitreya Rishi about Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Canto 4, sufficiently, wherein he specifically hears about two personalities. One is King Anga, who tried to correct his son, King Vena. Second one is Prachina Barhi, who was so much attached to Karmakanda rituals. So, wherein Narada Muni, forcefully presenting the philosophy, made him renounce. Hearing these two pastimes, Vidura was thinking about Dhritarashtra, who was also staying in the palace only, in spite of losing the entire kingdom. Still he is trying to enjoy the palace opulences. Then Vidura comes back to Hastinapur, speaking very harshly, makes Dhritarashtra renounce from the kingly opulence. He gives all his travel details except the information about Lord Krishna's departure. And next morning, taking Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, Vidura goes towards Himalayas, where they attain perfection. On the other hand, in Hastinapur, Yudhishthira Maharaj, understanding that it is because of my offense of killing the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, Dhritarashtra felt offended and left home. He was feeling sorry for that. Then Narada Muni comes and informs everything what is going to happen in relation to Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. He also did not inform about Lord Krishna's departure. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj sends Arjuna immediately go to Dwaraka and understand what is happening there in Dwaraka. I sense something wrong. As by the time Arjuna went there, all the Yadavas departed. Entire Dwaraka was submerged in the ocean. There is no place left. Arjuna oversaw the final rites of all the Yadavas. Then, escorting the remaining 16,100 wives of Lord Krishna, Arjuna was coming back to Hastinapur. Previously, all these queens were the heavenly ladies. Once Ashtavakra Muni went to heaven, the ladies served him very nicely. That time, Ashtavakra Muni pronounced a blessing, saying that, may all of you become the consorts of Lord Vishnu. As a result of that, they all became the wives of Lord Krishna. But on another day, when all these ladies on the palace, rooftops of the palace, Ashtavakra Muni was walking on the road. His body itself is bent in 8 places. When he walks, it looks like a peculiar way he walks. It looks like a funny. So these ladies, without understanding who is he, they kind of laughed. So hearing their laughter, Ashtavakra Muni turned around and pronounced a curse. May all you ladies will be stolen by thieves. Then the ladies understood. It is Ashtavakra Muni who blessed them yesterday. They came down, fell flat at the feet of Ashtavakra Muni, begged forgiveness. Then the sage said that all of you will be, after stolen by the thieves, you will be reunited with your eternal husband. So as a result of that, now when Arjuna was escorting all these queens of Lord Krishna to Hastinapur, Lord Krishna, taking the forms of some cowherd boys, comes, defeats Arjuna, takes, in the sense, steals away all those ladies, the wives of Lord Krishna, takes them back to Madura, where now Vajranabh is made as the king of Madura. And these ladies are kept in the care of Vajranabh. And Arjuna, who was defeated now for the first time in his life, came back to Hastinapur, informed everything to his brother, what all happened in the Dwaraka. Yudhishthira Maharaj understood, enough is enough, I am going. He started for north. All the other Pandavas, Draupadi, they followed after Yudhishthira Maharaj, making Parikshit Maharaj the next king. As soon as he became the king, because he also heard from Arjuna, he wanted to see what's happening in Dwaraka, what happened in Dwaraka. He immediately went to Dwaraka. There is no one. Then went to Madura. There he met Vajranabh, the queens of Lord Krishna, who are in utter lamentation. Both Vajranabh and Parikshit approached the queens. Please tell us, by doing what all of you can be freed from your lamentation. The queen said that after Lord Krishna had married us, very frequently we used to hear from Uddhava the pastimes of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan, because in order to pacify the Vrajavasis, Lord Krishna sent Uddhava. Uddhava stayed in Vrindavan, the entire Madhura Mandal area, for 2 months, during which the Vrajavasis, the elderly Vrajavasis, the Gopas, the Gopis, all used to take Uddhava to different places where Lord Krishna performed different pastimes. They used to narrate all the pastimes to Uddhava. He heard all the pastimes of Lord Krishna for 2 months thoroughly. So, the queens of Lord Krishna were very eager to hear from Uddhava about the various childhood pastimes of Lord Krishna. So, Uddhava used to speak regularly. So, now they are saying that we have heard about Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan from Uddhava. Now, we want to go to Vrindavan and visit all those pastime places. Please take us to Vrindavan. Both Parikshit and Uddhava escorted all the queens to Vrindavan. On the way, they met Yamuna, in whose personified form as Kalindi also married Lord Krishna. But Yamuna is flowing very nicely, very jubilantly. The queens became astonished. They asked Yamuna or Kalindi, what is the reason you are so happily flowing? Krishna is departed, we are suffering. You are happy, what is the reason? Kalindi said, as long as we remember Lord's pastimes, we are never separated from him. Since all of you used to hear from Uddhava regularly, please go to Kusum Sarovar. That is where Uddhava is there currently now as Gulumalata, as per his desire. You request Uddhava to come out and speak Krishna Katha once again, hearing which all of you can be freed from your lamentation. Following these instructions of Kalindi, Parikshit Maharaj and Vajranap escorts all the queens to Kusum Sarovar, where by their request Uddhava comes out, takes all these queens to the other side of Govardhan, currently known as Uddhava Baitak. That is where Uddhava wanted to narrate Lord Krishna's pastimes to the queens of Lord Krishna. So before beginning the narration, he requested Parikshit, my dear king, please come. I have a special service for you. Parikshit said, okay, I will do whatever you say. Since the time Lord Krishna departed, the Kali advented and tormenting the people, making them completely irreligious. Please go and check Kali's atrocities. Then Parikshit Maharaj submits, saying that, my dear sir, I also want to hear Bhagavatam. Please don't make me unfortunate. Then Uddhava says that, my dear king, do not worry, when right time comes, the son of Srila Vasudev, known as Shukadeva Goswami, will come to you and speak to you the entire Bhagavatam. But for now, as the monarch of the entire surface of the earth, please go and check the influence of Kali, while I am speaking Bhagavatam to the queens of Lord Krishna. Then, as Uddhava begins to narrate Bhagavatam for 1 month, he continued the discussion. During that 1 month, Parikshit Maharaj travels length and breadth of the entire Jambudvipa, trying to find out where Kali is there. Time is passing, he could not find Kali. Eventually, he sincerely prayed for Lord Krishna so that he can see the Kali, he can check Kali from his influence. By his prayers, by the mercy of Lord Krishna, at Kurukshetra, Parikshit Maharaj saw a peculiar scene in which one personality, dressing like a king, beating a bull and a cow. The bull appeared without 3 legs, standing on 1 leg, very weak, very lean, and continuously urinating. That scene indicates that the bull is Dharma personified. The 4 legs of the bull represents the 4 principles of Dharma, Satyam, Saucham, Daya, Tapasya. Okay? Out of which 3 legs are already destroyed. Only 1 leg is remaining, that is truth. And the bull seems to be continuously urinating, that indicates that even the truth also slowly depleting. Without no one has its protector. And the king, who is appearing to be king, is actually the Kali personified, who is actually by birth is a Shudra, but just by wearing the dress of a king, beating the cow and the bull, which no religious king is supposed to do it. Cow, a king is representative of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is glorified as Go Brahmana Hitayacha, who is the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmanas. How can the king, who is the well-wisher of cow and the Brahmanas, can kill cow, can punish cow? So by his activities, he is not a king. He is actually a Shudra by his activities. And then the cow, without the calf, continuously crying. The understanding is that the cow is Mother Earth, which is being beaten by the Kali personified, is continuously crying without a calf. Calf is represented by the food grains which Mother Earth produces. By the influence of Kali, Mother Earth stopped producing food grains, because as we mentioned, the purpose of producing food grains is to perform yajna. When yajna is performed, the Mother Earth will receive oblations. Then she is nourished. She can produce more food grains. When there is no yajna performed, when cow is not nourished, she becomes weak and she cannot produce any more food grains. And there will be no yajna. That's how the cow is becoming weaker and weaker without calf, continuously crying. Unable to tolerate this pitiable condition, Parikshit Maharaj immediately took up his sword to kill Kali. Then Kali, giving up his attire as the king, fell flat at the feet of Parikshit Maharaj. Since a Kshatriya will never surrender to other person, will never fall flat at the feet of others. So giving up that Kshatriya attire, he falls flat at the feet of Parikshit Maharaj. So then Parikshit Maharaj says, I cannot kill you because since you surrender to me, but you cannot stay in my kingdom. Please get away from my kingdom. Then Kali says, since I am also one of your citizens, you need to give me a place to stay. Parikshit Maharaj says, you cannot stay in my kingdom, but you can stay in a place where 4 irreligious activities are going on. Meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling. Kali says, I don't have all these places. There are no such places in your kingdom. Then Parikshit Maharaj says that wherever the wealth is accumulated more than necessary or by irreligious means, you can stay in that place also. Like that Kali was given 5 places. And Parikshit Maharaj made sure that there are no such places in his kingdom. That's how he checked the influence of Kali. By the time Parikshit Maharaj checked the influence of Kali by punishing thoroughly, on the other hand, Uddhava completed the narration of entire Bhagavatam over a period of 1 month. At the culmination of that, Lord Krishna personally manifested and accepted all the queens into his Aprakata Leela. And all the queens, 16,100 queens, transformed themselves into 16,100 gopis. And with those gopis, Lord Krishna performed all the pastimes which they have heard till now through the mouth of Uddhava. There are only 2 audiences. One is Uddhava, other one is Vajranabh. In their presence, Lord Krishna performed all those pastimes with all those gopis who are actually the queens. And then Lord Krishna disappeared along with all those queens who entered into Aprakata Leela. In order to keep all those pastime places alive, then Vajranabh installed deities, constructed temples in all those pastime places, which we see today as Sri Sri Radha Madhav, Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, Sri Sri Radha Govind, Sri Sri Radha Raman, like that. Not Radha Raman, but various deities that we see. The places in Vrindavan, deities in Jaipur, etc. They are all installed by Vajranabh after seeing all these pastimes. So, this is how it is mentioned by our previous acharyas such as Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami in their commentaries to Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, etc. How? By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, the queens of Lord Krishna are freed from lamentation and they became part of Lord Krishna's Nitya Leela. On the other hand, after the departure of Lord Krishna, after the advent of Lord Kali, on the bank of Saraswati, Srila Vasudev, foreseeing what is going to happen in the upcoming Kali Yuga, understanding the need of the hour, all the Vedic literatures which were available in the form of Shruti, sound vibration. In the previous 3 yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, the Guru used to speak, the disciple used to hear and could remember for the entire life. But this will not be the case in Kali Yuga. For the benefit of the people of Kali Yuga, Srila Vasudev penned down all the Vedic literatures. He divided the Vedas into 4 divisions, Rug Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharvana Veda, and compiled the 4 Vedas talking about Karma Yoga for the benefit of those people who are not qualified to practice Jnana, Ashtanga and Bhakti. And for the benefit, for the people who are qualified to practice Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Srila Vasudev compiled Upanishads culminating with Vedanta Sutra. And for those people who want to practice Bhakti for their benefit, Srila Vasudev compiled Puranas and Itihasas such as Ramayana and Mahabharata. In spite of compiling all these things, he was not satisfied. He was contemplating the reason for his dissatisfaction. Then Narada Muni arrives there. Vasudev requests, my dear sir, please tell me what is the reason for my dissatisfaction. Then Srila Narada Muni says, my dear sage, Bhavata Anudita Prayam Esho Bhagavato Amalam. You have not sufficiently glorified the spotless glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you have not established the superior position of Bhakti and Bhagavan. Vasudev says, no, my dear sir, I have established, I have glorified. I have compiled Vedanta Sutra establishing the position of Bhagavan. He said, but you as the author are not satisfied. Then what to speak of the reader will be satisfied by reading Vedanta Sutra and all the other literatures. I don't think Vedanta Sutra is sufficient. Manne tad darshanam kilam. He said, no sir, I have talked about the glories of the Supreme Lord in other Puranas, in all the Puranas, here and there. He said, Yata dharmadayas chartya. You have not glorified the glories of Supreme Lord, na tatha vasudevasya mahimai anuvarnita. To the extent you have glorified dharma, artha, kama, moksha in other Puranas. Then Vasudev says, no, I have glorified about Bhakti in the Vishnu Purana, Padma Purana, Brahmana, Garuda Purana, etc. Then he said that we have only glorified, talked about Bhakti and Bhagavan as a means to attain moksha, not indicating the superior position of Prema and Bhagavan. So now we should write a book, we should compile a book which repeatedly glorifies the superior position of Bhakti and Bhagavan. By telling once here and there will not help people to understand in Kali Yuga. The people of Kali Yuga need to be told repeatedly. If they are told once, they will not understand, they will not get it. So compile a Vedic literature consisting of the glories of Bhakti and Bhagavan repeatedly. Then, Srila Vasudev, though he already compiled all the 18 major Puranas, 18 minor Puranas, he selected one among the 18 Puranas, which was known as Bhagavatam. He re-edited the entire text, giving prominence to Bhakti and Bhagavan. He divided the entire Bhagavatam into 100 sections, presenting 100 various pastimes. Every pastime culminates in the glory of Bhakti and Bhagavan. He thoroughly followed the instruction of Sri Narada Muni and then compiled the scripture known as Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he taught the entire Bhagavatam to his son, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, who was actually a Atma Rama. Atma Ramascha Muniya Nirgranta is beyond the rules and regulations of the Vedic literatures. He is already in Brahman platform, he is already experiencing Brahmananda. But that Sukadeva Goswami, hearing 3 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, from the woodcutters, who are the different disciples of Srila Vyasadeva, wherein he heard about the transcendental beauty of Lord Krishna, Baraha Pidam Natavara Vapu Karnayo Karnikaram. As Lord Krishna entering into Vrindavan forest along with his Gopa friends taking the cows for grazing, the gopis, the young gopis of Vraja would glorify the beauty of Lord Krishna. That verse is spoken by the woodcutters. Sukadeva Goswami heard about it. Then he heard about one more verse spoken by Uddhava in the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam, Kamva Dayalum Sharanam Vrajema, that Putana came to kill Krishna in the disguise of a mother. Just because Putana came in the disguise of a mother, though with the intention to kill Krishna, Lord Krishna gave her the position of mother in the spiritual world. Datri Uchitam Tatonyam. So see the causeless mercy of Lord Krishna even to the enemies. He gave the position of a mother. Then he also heard another verse which is spoken by Bhishma on the battlefield of Kurukshetra to the Yudhishthira Maharaj in order to pacify him. That Supreme Lord who appears in the form of time and manifested all the pastime is none other than this Krishna who is standing next to you, whom you considered as your cousin brother, as your friend, as your relative, as your messenger, as your charioteer. He is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom the entire cosmos manifests, etc. etc. Here he understood that, Sukadeva Goswami understood that Supreme Lord who is superior to every one and all becomes subservient of his wonderful devotees. What kind of reciprocation he performs, he exhibits in relation to his devotees. Hearing these 3 verses, Sukadeva Goswami, who was completely immersed in Brahmananda, gave it up and began to perform Bhakti, Ahetuki Bhakti. Atma Ramascha Munaya Nirgranta Api Urukrame Kurvanti Ahetuki Bhakti. He began to perform Ahetuki Bhakti because Ittam Bhuta Guno Hari. Lord's qualities are so attractive, so attractive. Even a Atma Rama can be attracted. Then what to speak of a materialist who is always anchoring for happiness? Everyone can be attracted. The glory of Bhagavatam is Yasyam Vai Shuryamanayam Krishne Parama Purushe Bhakti Rutpadyate Pumsha Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. The living entity in this material world is always worried by 3 things. Always worried about the past, Shoka, Aisa Huvata, this should not have happened like this, like that. They are always worried about, he is always lamenting about something wrong happened in the past. And they are always worried about the future, whether something is going to happen or not. What will happen to me, what will happen to my children, like that. Bhaya. We are always in Bhaya, fear about the future. And we are always in illusion about the present. And by hearing Bhagavatam, these 3 will be removed. And more than that, Bhakti unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna will be manifested in the heart of the hearer. Yasyam Vai Shuryamanayam Krishne Paramapurushe. Bhaktir Utpadyate Pumsha. Prema Bhakti will manifest in the heart of the hearer. What is the result of the manifestation of Prema Bhakti in the heart of the hearer? The result is what happened to the queens of Lord Krishna. The queens of Lord Krishna also heard from Uddhava. The result is Lord Krishna personally manifested, took all the queens into his Aprakat Lila. They transformed into the gopis who are eternal associates of Lord Krishna. And they became part of Lord Krishna's Nitya Lila. For any hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam, the same thing can happen. By hearing Bhagavatam, the Prema Bhakti will manifest in their heart and eventually they will become part of Lord's Nitya Leela. This is how Srimad Bhagavatam manifested with the purpose of taking one and all back home, back to Godhead. So, in summing up what we discussed till now, the moment Lord Krishna disappeared, Kali made his entry, began to influence people by his irreligious behavior. Understanding this, on one side, Srila Vyasadeva compiling all the Vedic literatures, and by the request of Narada Muni, he compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. On the other side, Srila Parikshit Maharaj, by the request of Uddhava, went on search for Kali and punished Kali, make sure that there will be no influence of Kali in his kingdom. On the other hand, Uddhava spoke Bhagavatam for 1 month. At the culmination, Lord Krishna personally manifested and took the queens into his Nitya Leela. In one sense, all these three events are happening simultaneously. One on the bank of Saraswati by Vyasadeva, Bhagavatam is manifested in the book form. Other one on the bank of Yamuna, Lord Krishna personally manifested after reading Bhagavatam. In Kurukshetra, Parikshit Maharaj checked Kali. Then, Parikshit Maharaj ruled for 25 years. Unable to find a suitable place for his influence, Kali entered into the heart of Shringi and pronounced a curse so that Parikshit Maharaj will die in 7 days. In those 7 days, for the first time, Srimad Bhagavatam was publicly spoken. Till now, Srimad Bhagavatam was only privately spoken. Only in the intimate circles of the great devotees, Bhagavatam was being spoken. It is not publicly available. But for the first time, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, making Parikshit Maharaj as an instrument, Bhagavatam was spoken in the public. Because in that assembly, all the great personalities, all the way from Patala up to Satyaloka were present. All the great kings, all the variety of Brahmanas from the Bhuloka are present. Everyone was there in one sense. Everyone heard Bhagavatam. Hearing that Bhagavatam, what happened to Parikshit Maharaj? He went back to Godhead. He became one of the eternal associate of the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. By the way, on the other hand, Kali made his re-entry and Kali Yuga officially began after the departure of Parikshit Maharaj. Because after Parikshit Maharaj, there was no powerful king who can check the influence of Kali. So with this incident, we can understand that with the disappearance of Parikshit Maharaj, with the perfection of Parikshit Maharaj, we can understand that on one side, Bhagavatam appeared publicly for the benefit of everyone and all. On the other hand, Kali also made his appearance. Now we have both Bhagavatam on one hand, Kali on one hand. If we take shelter of Bhagavatam, we will get the same destiny which is obtained by King Parikshit as well as the queens of Lord Krishna. If we take shelter of Kali, we will continue to stay in this material world, passing through life after life, changing the body after body. That is what will happen. That's why Srila Narada Muni says Vyasadeva that the one and only remedy for the people of Kali Yuga to get out of the cycle of repeated cycle of birth and death is to sit in the boat of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because that is what Narada Muni did. By hearing from Bhakti Vedantas, he became what he is now. The same thing can happen to anyone whoever hears Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1. This is a kind of summary of the entire Canto 1. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to present the appearance of Srimad Bhagavatam, referring to various incidents from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, wherein Mother Earth appeared in the form of a cow, which is also the discussion in the current Bhagavatam verse. Hare Krishna. Questions? If any devotees have some clarification or some questions, some doubt. So before that, whatever we have discussed, it is available in this book known as Bhagavad Tattva Vichara. This book talks about some of the important topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this entire appearance of Bhagavatam narration is there in one of the chapters. And one chapter specifically talks about, as Prabhuji introduced, for the last few years I am working on the cosmology section of Bhagavatam. That is available in another book. But this book talks about the primary creation, secondary creation, and different avatars and the purpose of all the avatars, etc., etc. They are all presented in this book. And this is another book which presents the summary of entire Bhagavatam and how it helps a sadhaka to go back home, back to Godhead. Same thing will be there in this book. These two books are available on the table. Whoever is interested, please take these books. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. Little louder.
In this class, it has been told that Kali Yuga started immediately after Lord Krishna disappears. At the time period of 12 o'clock, that is Ardharatri
Okay.
of Amavasya. So, in Srimad Bhagavatam, I heard that day starts when the sun arises. And please give the clarification. Thank you very much.
It is a conventional way of seeing. Different people consider the beginning of the day. Some people consider during Brahma Muhurta. Some people consider during sunrise. But at the beginning of the creation, when Lord Brahma put all the planets into motion, the movement of the planets, Surya, Chandra and other planets, started 12 midnight. From the point of the creation, that started at the 12 midnight. So, in that way, we can consider beginning of the day 12 night also. No issue.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is small information question, Prabhuji. There, when Yudhishthir Maharaj was leaving to north, that means he is going to Himalayas, means this one or the one which you mentioned on Jambudvipa, the bigger Himalaya?
Forget about all these things. Going to north means going to north. North means on the way back home, back to Godhead. Passing through Haridwar and then Himalayas and then going through Bhurloka, Swargaloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, crossing through the universal layers and then passing through Brahman, entering into Vaikuntha. North means the journey towards spiritual world. Forget about the details. See the ultimate final destiny. Prak Disham Uttarat. Anyone who want to attain final perfection, they go towards north. North is the direction of the spiritual world.
Prabhuji, actually you told that fifth place of Kali is where the wealth is not used for Lord's purpose. And we heard that Kali entered in the kirit of Parikshit Maharaj.
No. Into heart of Shringi. Through Shringi, Parikshit Maharaj, Kali made Shringi pronounce that curse. Parikshit died in 7 days. As long as Parikshit Maharaj is there, Kali cannot influence anybody. So the only way he can influence is after the death of Parikshit Maharaj.
So it's like not gold that the fifth place is gold like that we heard. So the fifth place.
Yeah, any form of wealth. It can be gold, silver or any kind of wealth. Kali stays. Wherever gold is accumulated more than necessary or any wealth in a irreligious way, that is the place where Kali is there. And wherever Kali is there, that is where quarrel and hypocrisy will be there. That is where people will be influenced for performing sinful activities. So it's like that. Yes, bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. You just told like Srila Vyasdev added the book Srimad Bhagavatam when the Sukdev Goswami was in womb. And then we heard the Sukdev Goswami spoke to Parikshit Maharaj and the Sud Goswami spoke to the all Sunakadasi. So just I want to confirm like at what point of time this Bhagavatam was written? Because in Bhagavatam we see it starts when the Sunakadasi questions to Sud Goswami.
See, this is simple question because according to our understanding, we say that something is written means something happened. Our understanding of writing something is history, which happened in the past we write. But it is not like that. For example, I have compiled this book. In the first chapter, I talked about this entire thing. What I spoke here is the essence of the entire chapter. But in the chapter, there are details. So many details will be there. When Vyasdev compiled Bhagavatam, he compiled starting from the first verse. When he edited, everything is there. While Parikshit Maharaj punishing Kali, Here Vyasdev was compiling Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. In that is writing that in the future, Sukadeva Goswami will speak Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. In that is writing that Sutta Goswami will speak Sutta Goswami will hear from Sukadeva Goswami, then go to Naimisharanya, then will speak the Bhagavatam to sages of Naimisharanya. Srila Vyasdev is none other than Supreme Lord himself. He can very easily write about the events which are going to happen in the future. He is not like us. For us to write something, we need the historical record. But for Vyasdev, we can write what is going to happen in the future also. So it is like that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhu, is there any difference between Bhagavat Purana and Srimad Bhagavatam?
So Bhagavatam is like other Puranas which primarily glorifies Dharmartha Kama Moksha, also glorifies Bhakti here and there. But by the request of Sri Narada Muni, he re-edited, giving the highest prominence to Bhakti and Bhagavan. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmasaranam satam Veddeva vastavam matravas shodam tapatrayon mulanam. All other Puranas talks about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, Devata worship, everything is there. Wherever it is talked about, that is glorified. But in the Bhagavatam, though Karma Yoga is talked, though Jnana Yoga is talked about, but ultimately the section ends with the glories of Bhakti. Every section ends with saying that without Bhakti, nothing is of any use. Tapasvino, Danapara, Yashasvino, Manantvino, Mantravida, Sumangala, Kshemam na Vinnanti Vinaya Darpanam. Tasmai Subhadra Shravase Namo Namaha. Whether somebody is performing karma, jnana, yoga or any other thing, without offering their sadhana as a service to Lord's lotus feet, Kshemam na Vinnanti, they will never get any Kshema. This is the teaching of Bhagavatam. In other places, you do karma, you will go to Swarga. You do jnana, you will go to Brahman. Like that, this is glorified. They all become standalone modules. But in the Bhagavatam, without bhakti, nothing is of useful. Nothing is of any useful. So, something like that.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandas Prabhu. Prabhu, bhakti means different meanings can be inferred. Bhakti, we are worshipping our Krishna. And bhakti, some people, they do different objects of worship, like different demigods and all. They also call it bhakti. How to differentiate bhakti among the Krishna bhakti or Shiva bhakti or Devi bhakti or whatever, even if they worship one person, whoever is offering some help and all, that is also they say some bhakti.
Okay, Prabhuji, I got your question. The Vedas describe three sadhanas: karma, jnana and upasana. There is something called karma, something called jnana, which also includes Ashtanga Yoga, something called upasana. Upasana is about the worship of the person in deity form, which can be any person, which can be Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, which primarily consists of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. In this verse, I missed one word, Vishnu. If you do all these things, all these 9 things for Ganesh, it becomes Ganesh Puja. If you do all these 9 things for Lord Shiva, it becomes Shiva Puja. If you do all these 9 things for Mother Parvati, it becomes Durga Puja. If you do all these things for Lord Vishnu, it becomes Vishnu Bhakti or it becomes Krishna Bhakti. When one of these 9 things are performed to any other deity, it becomes Puja. If one of these 9 things are performed for Vishnu or any other avatars of Vishnu, it becomes Bhakti. We may call, we are Shiva Bhakta, but technically it's supposed to be called as Shiva Puja according to scriptures. Only when it is performed for Lord Vishnu, technically it is called as Bhakti. Since Bhakti means Aradhana, since they are also performing worship of other deities, it is also called Bhakti. But when we perform one of these 9 things, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam, that is called Bhakti unto Lord Vishnu or any other form of Lord Vishnu in any other avatars. For other deities, we should call it as Puja or Vigraha Radhana or Upasana. Technically, it is supposed to be called as Upasana. So, it is like that. You have a question? Yeah. Please take the mic. Speak loudly.
Why Krishna is black?
Sorry?
Why Krishna is black?
Why Krishna is?
Black color.
Krishna is not black. He is Shama. Actually, our words cannot describe the color of Lord Krishna. Whatever is the best thing available for us, like newly formed monsoon clouds or the blue lotus with which we can compare the complexion of Lord Krishna. Otherwise, Krishna's color cannot be described with the words that we have at our disposal. So, why Krishna is black? We don't know. But Krishna is in that color to attract all of our hearts. Krishna means Sarva Akarshayati iti Krishna. So he is the one who attracts all our hearts. Is called Krishna. In order to attract all our hearts, he manifests his own transcendental form in that Shama Varna, which is very attractive to the onlooker. So that's how it is mentioned. So Lord in his multifarious forms like Vishnu and other forms is always in that bluish or blackish color we say. It is not exactly black. So in that way.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we are extremely grateful to His Grace Pavaneshwar Pr. He had completely cleared over all the doubts and how the Bhagavatam appear. Let us thank him by loudly chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So these two books are available here on the counter. So it will be very nice if you can take. The more you'll get about what Poji spoke.